What's up guys, Tukes here from Tukes Productions, and today we're going to be talking about my first ever PC build. Now this computer is actually able to handle 4K footage, 6K footage, and possibly even 8K footage. So I hope you guys are all staying safe in this quarantine and utilizing your time to maybe spend time with your family or even build a computer like I did. So I decided to build a computer like this because I'm a full-time videographer and I needed a computer that was able to handle the footage that I was dealing with. Everyone can just buy a camera now and shoot 4K, 6K, and 8K. I need to have a computer that can handle that, and I can't say confidently enough that my 2015 Retina can do that. Watching playback was terrible. I couldn't watch any of the clips that I had, even at a quarter resolution in 4K. And if you're editing, that kind of slows you down. Honestly, it slows you down so much because when you're waiting for things to start playing, you get easily distracted and it just takes a lot longer to finish a full-length video. So my inspiration for this build was actually Matt Johnson's $650 4K editing build and also his $1,400 4K editing build. I'm gonna put the links in the description below so you can watch those. He also lists upgrades in his description to things that you can upgrade to get better performance. So I pretty much went with the $1,400 build plus the upgrades. So this computer came out to about $2,400 before taxes. This computer would have actually costed about $9,000 in a Mac. And to me, I never had intentions on spending $9,000 for a computer. I'm gonna spend money on a camera before I buy a computer, honestly. And being that I only had to drop about $2,500 for a computer that's gonna outperform a Mac, I'm happy. Now I do love Mac, I'm not knocking Mac. I still use my Mac, it's still here on my desktop, but for what I'm doing, I just can't afford to spend that kind of money for a Mac that's able to handle, 6K footage. So basically I'm gonna break into a cinematic sequence that I filmed with my fiance, and I hope you guys enjoy. And then after that, I'll talk a little bit more about what's in the computer and why I chose what I chose. So enjoy. So I kind of fell off at the end a little bit. I kind of got tired building. It was around 3 o'clock in the morning when I finished, or actually it was 5 in the morning when I finished filming. It wasn't too difficult. The hardest part of this whole build was actually putting the fan and the radiator together. It was just difficult because of the screws and the plate that's included in this. But for the most part, it was super easy. I can say that. Everything's pretty much plug and play. You have to make sure that you're looking at the motherboard manual for the most part, and everything is pretty much listed in there and tells you what goes where. This case does a great job with cable management. It's got Velcro straps in the back of it, so you can easily just tuck everything in and just Velcro strap it. You don't have to connect so much and do zip ties and stuff like that. So let's jump into what's actually in here and why I chose what I chose for this build. So, we're going to talk about the specs in the build. So this computer has a AMD 3900 12-core 24-thread processor. This processor is good enough for what I do, and I'm only going based off of the test that I did. And with the 8K 60 frames per second, it did scrub through pretty smooth, and it did play back pretty smooth, but my CPU was at 100%. Overclocking it might be a little bit better for performance, but I don't feel like overclocking it right now because I don't need to. Yo. It is super hot in here and I can't open the window. Maybe I shouldn't be wearing this freaking jacket. So for the graphics card, I went with the EVGA 2080 Super overclocked out of the box. So I went with the overclocked graphics card because I kind of wanted the best performance out of the box without me having to actually physically do it myself. I felt like you get better performance straight out of the box, basically because the company is actually overclocking it for you. I wanted to get a graphics card that was going to fit my video editing needs. And being that I'm editing 4K footage now, these Sony files are terrible to work with, but now they're not, of course. If I wanted to edit 6K footage or even 8K footage in the future, for whatever reason I need to, I want to be able to kind of have that, you know, that breathing room there. I also play Xbox as well, and sometimes when I want to play with my friends in between render times, when I'm waiting for a video to render out, I kind of have to switch over, which isn't a big deal. I kind of had to switch from my computer to the gaming monitor and play with my friends, but then now I can just do everything on one PC, which is awesome. For gaming experience, if you're into gaming, the gaming is honestly the part where this graphics card shines. You can play any game possible. There's no game that you can't play with this graphics card unless the game that you're playing doesn't support NVIDIA drivers for whatever reason. If you're a gamer and you want to get a great graphics card, definitely get this one. And if you have a little bit more money, you can go with a 2080 Ti, but the difference between the 2080 Ti and this graphics card is kind of small in 1080. If you're doing 4K, the 2080 Ti kind of does outshine this card a little bit. And those are the benefits of having a card like that. I didn't want to go 2080 Ti because it's a little pricey for one, and two, they're actually coming out with a 3080 graphics card that actually performs 40% better than I think the 2080 Ti, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, the 2080 Super, I think that's probably the best card you should get right now for the money and for the capabilities and performance. So I went with the NZXT H510 Elite case. This case was the nicest looking case to me for the price. They also have the H500 and the H510 or H500i, but those don't have this front glass in the front with the two fans. So I know a lot of people have mentioned that, this case specifically doesn't circulate well and those two fans don't really do anything, but I haven't had any temperature issues. And even right now in this room as I'm sweating, so it's super quiet, super quiet. Like, I was actually surprised because that was one thing that I was concerned about was noise. I used to have external drives because the Mac needed external drives to operate, and then one of them would overheat and it would start beeping and it was just a hassle. So this is another pro to having a PC, is that you can actually put your information into the computer and easily swap out cards, SSD cards, whenever you feel the need to. So my favorite part of this whole build is actually the radiator, or the liquid cooling system. So it's actually a H500i CORSAIR RGB setup. So pretty much it comes with 2 fans, and these 2 fans I didn't actually use on the Radiator. I actually replaced them with the NZXT fans that were included. I kind of wanted to do this so I can have a little bit more lit up on the inside and have more light in the case. I decided to go with the black and white theme for this case, so I wanted to have the white Radiator. I couldn't find another Radiator that was white. I did find a couple of companies that were off-brand that did have white radiators or white cooling systems. I just wanted to go with CORSAIR because I love their stuff. So that's my honest reason, and I didn't feel like dealing with another company, and then if something went wrong, I didn't want to have to be stuck, you know, with a product that didn't work for any reason. I also went with the CORSAIR VENEGEANCE Pro 32 gigs of RAM, and I put this into my system because of the RGB lighting as well, and they're also white. The motherboard I chose for this system was the ASUS TUF Gaming X510 Plus. It comes with Wi-Fi. It doesn't have too many ports on the back for USB. That's one of the downsides to having this board, but I didn't really need that many ports for USB because I only had 4 in my Mac already originally. So me having 4 in this one or 5 is kind of like, you know, me not really switching over. The reason I chose this board specifically was because it was around $200, which is on the cheaper side of motherboards. There were other boards out there that were like $500 or $400. And as much as I wanted to get those, I didn't feel like I needed that because I was building more of a computer to do my personal projects and what I do for work. And I wasn't building an editing computer or workstation. So if you're building a workstation and you're an editor and you need a lot of USB slots and you need Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capabilities and stuff like that, maybe it might be better to get a different board or upgrade to a board that has more slots as well. So for the power supply, I went with the EVGA 750 Gold Plus. I was looking at 650, but I felt like for this build specifically, it probably would have been better to have a 750 to be more on the safe side. 750 is good enough. And based on what I checked out and did some research on, this setup actually requires only about maybe 575 watts. So I just decided to go a little bit overboard and kind of get 750 just in case I wanted to upgrade anything in the future and have more room. Now, this power supply is also fully modular. I kind of wanted to go modular because I wanted to be able to only use the cables that I need to use for my setup and just for more convenience, honestly. So I have cables if I want to add anything into my system. I can just plug in those ports and use those cables instead of having cables just mashed in the bottom of my system and them not being used and taking up space. For storage, I went with these Nvme Sabrent Rocket drives. So these Nvme 4.0 drives are new technology, and I wanted to have the fastest speeds for when I'm editing. So basically, right now in my system, currently I have the drive set to boot up my system, and that's my main 1 terabyte drive. I also have a 1 terabyte SSD Samsung in there as well for backup storage, and then I have to buy another SSD with more terabytes for more backup storage. I did have external drives before, but they were just super loud and take up so much space because I had to stack the drives on top of each other. So I'm happy that I got rid of that. I kind of feel like it's kind of a blessing that I have this computer now because it's quiet, it's much more convenient, everything is all in one place. I don't have to move anything around. I don't have to make sure that, you know, my drives aren't overheating. It's just a better all-around system. I'm so happy that I built this computer. And yeah, I just honestly built whatever was gonna work for me. And if I'm doing video and I'm a content creator, maybe this computer will work for you as well. If you wanna spend a little bit more money, by all means, then go spend a little bit more money. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel like if you do your research, you have a better buying experience as opposed to just buying the best stuff and not really knowing why you're buying it. So definitely do your research as much as you can before you make a purchase and ask questions if you need to. You can also ask me questions in my description. I'm going to put my Instagram in there. So if you have any questions on building a computer at all, or if you have any questions about which drive to go with or which graphics card to go with, then feel free to DM me, or you can even drop a comment below and ask me a couple of questions. If there's anything that you guys feel I could have done better to this build or anything that you recommend, definitely leave it in the comments below. Let me know. I guess I'll keep you guys posted for more upgrades as well. I can honestly say I'm super excited about it. I'm happy, and it's just a relief, honestly. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.